What if the way you've been hugging her has been quietly killing any chance of real attraction? And she's been feeling it every single time? Most men have no idea how powerful a hug can be. They treat it like a simple greeting or an awkward obligation, never realizing that their hug is either building magnetic attraction or destroying it completely. The truth is, most men are hugging women wrong in ways that make them feel uncomfortable, unseen, or emotionally disconnected, and they never understand why the spark never seems to catch. I'm going to reveal 4 powerful rules about hugging that most men were never taught. These aren't superficial tricks. These are deep psychological truths about how touch affects a woman's nervous system, her sense of safety, and her attraction toward you. What you're about to learn is knowledge that was never meant to be handed to you this directly. The first rule is the one that determines everything that follows: the approach. Most men approach a hug with hesitation, nervousness, or awkward half measures. They shuffle forward uncertainly. They lean in with stiff shoulders. They give off the subconscious energy of someone who is asking for permission instead of offering presence. A woman's nervous system reads this immediately. Even if she likes you, that uncertain approach can kill attraction before your arms even wrap around her. The correct approach begins before any physical contact happens. You must move toward her with calm, grounded confidence, not aggression, not cockiness. Calm certainty. Your posture stays strong but relaxed. Your eye contact is warm yet direct. There is no fidgeting, no nervous laughter, no awkward half smile that silently asks, "Is this okay?" This matters more than most people understand. Women are wired to read masculine presence for signs of emotional stability and strength. When your approach is hesitant or unsure, her body registers you as potentially weak or unsafe. When your approach is deliberate and calm, her nervous system begins to open rather than contract. The psychologically sharp man understands that the approach is where the emotional charge of the hug is created. He takes one deliberate step. He allows a brief moment where she can see and feel his clear intention. This tiny pause gives her nervous system time to anticipate the contact instead of being startled by it. In that moment, attraction can spark before any actual touching occurs. I've watched men transform their relationships once they mastered this single rule. One man in his 40s told me his wife of 20 years actually gasped the first time he approached her with real masculine presence instead of his usual quick, polite side hug. She later admitted she felt something she hadn't felt in years. That's how powerful the right approach is. The wrong approach creates subtle rejection in her body. The right approach creates anticipation and safety at the same time. This combination is what begins to trigger genuine attraction. Most men were never taught how to occupy space with confidence while remaining respectful. They were taught to be nice, to be small, to ask for permission with their entire body. But real masculine presence isn't about taking. It's about offering something steady that a woman can lean into. When you approach a hug with that kind of grounded energy, you are silently communicating, "I am here. I am safe. You can trust this." This first rule alone explains why some men seem to have a natural magnetic effect on women while others feel invisible. It's not their looks. It's not their money. It's the way they carry their body when they move towards someone they care about. The uncomfortable truth is that your hug begins revealing who you are as a man long before your arms make contact. A scattered, anxious man gives scattered, anxious hugs. A grounded, self-assured man gives hugs that feel like coming home. If you've ever felt that a woman pulled away from you emotionally, even though she seemed to like you, there's a strong possibility your approach was undermining the attraction before it could even begin. Her body was responding to the uncertainty in your movement, not the content of your character. Mastering this first rule requires you to do the inner work of becoming more grounded in your own body. It requires you to release the fear of rejection and show up with calm confidence. The men who do this work don't just get better hugs, they become better men. But the approach is only the beginning. The second rule determines what actually happens when your bodies meet, and most men are getting this part dangerously wrong too. The way you hold her reveals everything about how you see both her and yourself. The second rule determines what actually happens when your bodies meet, and most men are getting this part dangerously wrong too. The way you hold her reveals everything about how you see both her and yourself. Most men give what I call the polite hug. It's brief, stiff, and emotionally empty. They either pat her back like they're burping an infant, or they barely make contact, as if they're afraid of being accused of something inappropriate. Other men swing to the opposite extreme and squeeze too hard, too fast, trying to prove their strength. Both approaches fail to trigger attraction. They either create discomfort or leave her feeling nothing at all. The second rule is about mastering the actual embrace itself. When done correctly, a hug becomes one of the most powerful tools for creating emotional safety and attraction. A woman's nervous system is highly sensitive to exactly how she is held. The right embrace triggers the release of oxytocin, deepens trust, and makes her feel both protected and desired. The wrong embrace does the opposite. There are 4 elements that make the difference. First, the pressure. It must be firm, but never crushing. Think strong gentleness. She needs to feel your strength without feeling overpowered or smothered. When your arms wrap around her with the perfect amount of pressure, her body instinctively relaxes. Her nervous system registers safety. This is the foundation of feminine attraction. Second, hand placement. This is where most men lose points without realizing it. Keep your hands on her upper back and shoulder blades. This communicates respect while still allowing real emotional connection. Placing your hands too low too soon can make her feel objectified even if she likes you. The upper back is the sweet spot where strength meets safety. Third, duration. Most men pull away after 1 second. That isn't a hug. That's a greeting. A meaningful hug that triggers attraction lasts between 4 and 8 seconds. Long enough for her nervous system to register that you are a safe presence. Long enough for her to actually feel held. But not so long that it becomes awkward or heavy with expectation. Fourth, and this is the part almost no one talks about, your breathing. When you breathe slowly and deeply while holding her, her body begins to match your rhythm. This creates a moment of deep nervous system synchronization. In that synchronization, emotional bonding accelerates dramatically. She may not know why the hug felt different, but her body will remember. The psychology here is profound. Women carry more tension in their bodies than most men understand. Many are walking around with years of emotional armor from past experiences. When you hold them correctly, that armor has permission to soften. Her body begins to trust that you can hold whatever she is carrying without collapsing or taking advantage. I've had men tell me their entire relationships changed once they mastered this rule. One man said his girlfriend of 2 years suddenly became more affectionate and emotionally open after he changed nothing except how he hugged her. She later admitted that for the first time, she felt truly held instead of just touched. This second rule reveals something deeply uncomfortable about modern masculinity. Many men are physically disconnected from their own bodies. They hug from a place of anxiety rather than presence. They're so worried about doing it wrong that they end up doing it mechanically. A woman can feel the difference between a man who is fully in his body and one who is stuck in his head. The way you hold her is a mirror of how you see yourself. If you hold her hesitantly, you are showing her a man who doubts his own worth. If you hold her with calm strength and tenderness, you are showing her a man who knows who he is and what he offers. This is why the second rule is so transformative. When you learn to hold a woman properly, you aren't just improving your hugs, you are improving your masculine presence. You are becoming the kind of man whose very touch communicates safety, strength, and emotional stability. But here's what makes this truth emotionally heavy. Many good women have gone years without being held in a way that makes them feel truly safe and desired. They've received polite hugs, awkward hugs, and aggressive hugs, but rarely the kind of embrace that makes them melt. When you finally give them that experience, the emotional response can be powerful. Some women actually tear up the first time they're held correctly. Not because they're sad, but because their body has finally received something it has been missing for a very long time. The men who learn this rule often report the same experience. Women linger in their arms. They breathe out in ways that sound like relief. They look at them differently afterward, all because they finally felt what it's like to be held by a man who understands how to offer his presence through touch. Mastering the second rule requires you to get out of your head and into your body. It requires you to feel rather than perform. It requires you to care more about her experience than your own anxiety. The third rule is just as important, because even the perfect embrace can be ruined by how you end it. The way you release her from your arms often matters more than how you first took her in. And that truth cuts even deeper into the psychology of desire, absence, and emotional craving. The third rule is about how you release her from the hug, and this is where most men destroy everything they just built. This is the part almost nobody talks about, yet it might be the most important of all. The way a hug ends determines what she feels when you're no longer touching her. It decides whether she walks away feeling warm and magnetically drawn to you, or awkward and relieved it's over. Most men ruin this moment completely. They either yank themselves away like they touched something hot, or they linger too long in an awkward, needy way that kills all the tension they worked so hard to create. Some men even give that pathetic little back pat at the end, as if apologizing for touching her. All of these behaviors communicate weakness, anxiety, or emotional immaturity. The correct way to end a hug is slow, intentional, and controlled. You don't rip away. You don't collapse into awkwardness. You gently loosen your arms while keeping your presence strong and calm. As you pull back, your hands should lightly trace down her arms or upper back for just a moment. This final microsecond of intentional touch sends one last signal of warmth and masculine confidence. Most importantly, you must look her in the eyes as you separate. This eye contact after the physical embrace is devastatingly effective. When she opens her eyes and meets yours after feeling your strength and safety, something powerful happens in her mind. The combination of physical release and emotional connection creates what psychologists call an emotional afterglow. She feels the absence of your body while still feeling the presence of your energy. That contrast is what creates craving. Women have confessed in private that the best hugs they've ever received left them feeling slightly unsteady for a few seconds afterward. Not because the man was aggressive, but because the hug was so complete that its ending created a small emotional vacuum. Her body literally missed the contact. That missing is where desire is born. The psychology of this third rule is ruthless but beautiful. A high-quality hug that triggers attraction must end with masculine leadership. You decide when it ends, you remain grounded in your body, you don't seek her reaction or wait for approval, you give her the full experience and then calmly return to your own center. This teaches her nervous system that you are a man who can hold her without needing anything from her in return. This is incredibly attractive to women. Many women have never experienced a hug that ends with this kind of clean, confident presence. They've experienced hugs that end in awkwardness, neediness, or sudden disconnection. When they finally meet a man who ends the embrace with calm strength while maintaining eye contact, something in them wakes up. They feel seen, they feel respected, they feel a pull toward that man that they can't easily explain. The third rule also explains why some men create addictive attraction while others create polite distance. The men who master the release understand something most never will: the power of strategic absence. By ending the hug cleanly and confidently, you create space for her to miss your touch. That space is where desire grows. If you've ever had a woman seem interested after a hug only to become distant later, there's a strong possibility you ruined the moment in the release. You either pulled away too fast and created emotional whiplash, or you lingered too long and made her feel responsible for your emotional state. Both mistakes communicate the same thing to her nervous system. This man cannot hold space confidently. The man who masters this third rule begins to use hugs as a tool for creating emotional addiction, not in a manipulative way, but in a deeply masculine way. He offers her the full experience of being truly held, then gives her the gift of missing him when it's over. This combination is rare and powerful. But here's what makes this truth emotionally heavy. Many men are carrying deep insecurity about their worth and their right to take up space. That insecurity shows up in how they end hugs. They either apologize with their body by pulling away too quickly, or they cling because they're afraid they won't get another chance. Both behaviors push women away at the exact moment when attraction should be deepening. The third rule requires you to face your own fears about being enough. It requires you to trust that the quality of your presence is valuable. When you can end a hug with calm confidence while looking her in the eyes, you are showing her that you are a man who knows his worth and doesn't need to grasp for validation. This is where real masculine maturity reveals itself. The men who learn this rule report the same transformation. Women start lingering longer in their presence. They start finding excuses to hug them again. They begin looking at them with softer eyes and more open body language. All because the entire experience of being held and then gracefully released felt different from anything they'd experienced before. The fourth and final rule ties everything together. Because even if you master the approach, the embrace, and the release, your internal state will either amplify these rules or completely cancel them out. This final truth is the most important one of all because it reveals whether your hugs are coming from a place of genuine masculine presence or from hidden neediness and performance. This final truth is the most important one of all because it reveals whether your hugs are coming from a place of genuine masculine presence or from hidden neediness and performance. The fourth rule is the mindset and intention behind every hug you give. This is what separates men who trigger real attraction from men who only create polite affection or awkward discomfort. Most men hug with an agenda. They hug because they want to feel close. They hug because they're hoping for validation. They hug because they're anxious and need reassurance that she still likes them. That hidden neediness is felt in the body. Women can sense when a man is taking through his touch rather than giving. It makes them tighten up even if they like the man. The correct mindset is one of calm generosity. You hug her because you want her to feel safe, cherished, and emotionally held. There is no desperate need attached to it. You are offering your strength as a gift, not using her body to regulate your own emotions. This single shift in intention changes everything about how your touch is received. When you hug from this place of grounded generosity, something profound happens. She doesn't just feel your arms, she feels your certainty. She feels your emotional control. She feels a man who has done the inner work to show up fully without needing anything from her in return. That experience is incredibly rare for most women, and it creates a powerful subconscious pull. Timing is also part of this fourth rule. You don't hug her the same way in every situation. A hug when she's stressed should be protective and steady. A hug when she's happy can have more playfulness. A hug when saying goodbye should leave her with warmth and anticipation. The emotionally intelligent man reads the moment and adjusts his presence accordingly. This shows mastery, not just technique. The men who understand this final rule begin using hugs strategically, not randomly. They know that a well-timed, perfectly executed hug can reset the emotional tone of an interaction. It can pull a woman out of her head and back into her body. It can deepen trust faster than hours of conversation. It can make her feel more attracted to you in 8 seconds than most men achieve in 8 dates. But this power comes with serious responsibility. Touch is sacred. The moment you begin to understand how deeply a woman can be affected by your physical presence, you must carry that knowledge with maturity. These 4 rules are not tools for manipulation. They are tools for connection. The goal is not to make her obsessed in an unhealthy way. The goal is to become the kind of man who naturally creates safety, desire, and emotional openness in women through his presence. For the women watching this, I want you to know this. You deserve to be held well. You deserve hugs that make you feel safe instead of anxious. You deserve to be touched by someone who understands how to offer strength without taking. Never normalize bad hugs. Never convince yourself that awkward or uncomfortable touch is acceptable. Your nervous system is trying to tell you something important. For everyone watching, this goes far beyond hugging. The way you touch is the way you live. The way you approach a hug reveals how you approach life. The way you hold someone reveals how much presence you can actually offer. The way you release someone reveals how comfortable you are with your own power. These 4 rules are really 4 lessons in becoming a more integrated, emotionally intelligent person. Master them, and your entire way of relating to women changes. Your long-term relationships deepen. Your confidence in your body grows. You stop fearing physical interactions and start using them as a form of honest, respectful communication. The uncomfortable truth most men never want to face is this: many of us were never taught how to be in our bodies. We were taught to be nice. We were taught to be respectful by being small. But real respect includes showing up fully. Real masculinity includes offering strong, safe, confident touch that makes women feel both protected and desired. The men who learn these 4 rules often report the same emotional experience. For the first time, they feel powerful in their bodies. For the first time, women respond to them with genuine relaxation and openness. For the first time, they understand why some men seem to have an unfair advantage with women even when they aren't particularly handsome or wealthy. It was never about looks, it was about presence. So I want to ask you something personal. Which of these 4 rules about hugging hit you the hardest? Have you been doing any of them wrong, and how do you feel now that you finally see the truth? Be honest in the comments. Your answer might help another man or woman recognize what they've been missing in their relationships. If this video moved you, if it made you feel that uncomfortable but exciting feeling of real growth, then do these 3 things. Hit the like button so this message can reach more people who need it. Subscribe and turn on notifications because we're going much deeper into male and female psychology, dating dynamics, and self-improvement in the coming videos. And share this video with one friend who you know needs to hear these truths about attraction and connection. You now carry knowledge that most men will never have. The only question left is whether you're willing to do the inner work to become the kind of man who knows how to hold a woman properly. I'll see you in the next one. Become the man whose touch tells the truth about who you really are.